two provinces that have 100% voting districts declared at this point. I can tell you in Mpumalanga, the ANC taking charge there, and they've got 78% of the vote. We've got the DA at 10% and the EFF at 6%. So that's in Mpumalanga, done and dusted. That province is over. In the Northern Cape, I can give you those results as well. The ANC, 63.8% of the votes went to the ANC, 23.3% to the DA, and the EFF 5%. So those are the two provinces that are basically done. The Northwest is almost done. It's 99.7% done. And at this point, I can tell you in the Northwest, the ANC has got 67% of the vote, the DA 12% of the vote, and I need to say that the DA have 12.6% of the vote because the EFF have got 12.5% of the vote. So at this point, at 99%, the DA are the official opposition in the Northwest. But you never know. That little percentage or half a percentage point may actually make the difference, and we might see a bit of a swing in that area. So as the voting districts are completed throughout the country, we'll bring those results to you. The national picture, 94% voting districts declared, and we'll give you that analysis in a short while. But let's go to Debiso now. He's got something for us.
Thank you very much there, Leanne, and good morning to you at home once again. Now, I must tell you what you need to know as well. The race for the National Assembly seats is going to heat up. We're talking about 400 seats available here, and the ruling party is about on 261 seats as it stands. The Democratic Alliance on 90 seats. Then the EFF, everyone was thinking about 4 or 5 seats, maybe. They currently hold about 23 seats for the National Assembly, the AFP with 9, and the NFP with 7 seats, and other political parties bringing in the rest so far at around 10 seats. Remember, there are 400 seats available for the National Assembly, so that's going to be the race, and I think that's where the crunch, and as far as analysts we're going to be talking about today, and who gets what and who goes where as far as the National Assembly is concerned. But before we go there, remember, whenever there's elections, there must be observers. So in South Africa, it's no different. We had the likes of the AU, the Commonwealth countries, and of course, observers from the continent come to see what is done, how it's done, is it free and fair? So we take a quick look at this insert and what they had to say about the process of the 7th of May right here in South Africa.
Well, yesterday I was in Pretoria and Johannesburg areas, and also some of the towns in between, Midrand, Alexandria, etc. That was not my experience yesterday. The process that I saw yesterday was a good process of people in orderly queues, going up and getting their ballot paper and voting. I didn't see anything of that. But then, as I say, it's a limited number of polling stations that I saw, but I did not witness anything like that.
But for the continent, South Africa is placed in a critical position to ensure that if we are the example to the continent, perhaps we'll have this culture of having free and fair elections.
It's absolutely critical, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because I think that is this peculiar significance of this election, especially in the wake of Nelson Mandela's death. He was the person who, after all, can be credited with founding democracy in South Africa. And I think it's important that the democratic institutions that he's left behind are seen to have taken root in South Africa. And by that, of course, the spread of the democratic values, both in the Commonwealth and in the continent, is very, very important. So the world is looking at South Africa today. And hopefully, both the process that went through and also the declaration of results will be such as to make it clear to everybody that a credible, transparent, free process took place here in South Africa. It's extremely important.
Except for the complaints that I was telling you about that we heard from the small parties in particular. Your impressions generally of the general elections here in South Africa?
Are positive. But then you can see that, I can't be everywhere in South Africa, but from what I've seen and what I heard on the radio, learned from you and other people on television, I think the process has gone so far very well. And it's therefore a feather in the cap of all South Africans. We want this to be the method by which governments are chosen by free, fair processes, whereby the will of the people can be expressed in a manner where everybody can see that, yes, this is the legitimate choice of the South African people. It helps give us better governance, and it gives authority to governance. So we want that situation to continue. And all of us are looking at you in this country to make sure that the process that you began 20 years ago continues, grows, gets stronger and better all the time.
In terms, just one last thing, in terms of the continent, the liberation movements, there's a tendency of them a little later, especially after 20 years, of getting into a habit of wanting to cling into power. It would seem clear here that the ANC still has overwhelming support. You do not believe there's a danger of that, those tendencies here?
The point I think, the really critical part is that you have processes and institutions that allow people to express their views freely. I mean, once they do that, if they continue to choose you, it's their choice. But what you don't want is a situation where people get into power and then begin to restrict the space so that they are always there. There you have a problem. But so long as the process is free and fair, and the people, I mean, there are parts of the world where political parties through democratic means have been in power for years. The Liberal Party in Japan was in office for 50 years. But it was the choice of the Japanese people. It was not a question of it being the result of rigging. If it's the result of rigging, we have a problem. But if it is a genuine process, like what we're witnessing here in South Africa today, then it's the choice of the South African people, so be it.
All right, very interesting to hear exactly how the observers felt about the elections here in South Africa.